Hey guys, my name's Kay and I'd like to share with you my experience of getting a working holiday visa for Japan. Earlier in October of this year I applied to get the working holiday visa for Japan, but before I actually applied for the visa I checked quite a few websites just to find out what I actually needed to do to apply for the visa. I at first was really nervous about applying for the visa itself, but after I actually went down to the Japan Embassy in London, I was actually surprised how easy it sort of was to get the Japanese visa. When applying, I checked a few sort of websites beforehand which were really useful, and I also checked out a few videos as well, such as a video with different people, such as a posh guy who sort of goes through how to get the visa, a girl who actually applies for the visa but she didn't put too much into her application form but still managed to get the visa, and even a few Australian guys who actually applied, although their process of getting the visa is a teeny bit different to how we would get a visa here in the UK. When applying for the visa in the UK, you have two options of places to go to. Beforehand, everything's on the website for what you will need to apply for the visa, such as having the right amount of money in your bank account, and depending where you live, such as myself, when I applied for my visa I actually had to go down to London to the Japan Embassy in London to apply for my visa. But if I lived anywhere north from here in Yorkshire, I would have to go to Edinburgh to hand in my visa application form. So I headed down from here in October to hand in my details, such as the forms you have to fill in. I was really nervous on the day of doing it, but I headed down from here to Green Park Station, and from there it's only about a couple of minutes walk to the Japan Embassy. When you get to the Japan Embassy, you walk through the security sort of area, which is much like going through security at an airport. You hand in your bags and everything gets checked. And then once through, you go up to a glass window where a Japanese woman will tell you to press the bottom button once you've gone through, after you explain to her that you're there to apply for a working holiday visa for Japan. When you go through, you click on the button which says visa, and then you get a ticket as if you're going to get probably like some cheese or something from a supermarket. You get the ticket which says a number on it, and then you go and sit down in the lobby area and you wait to be called up. I had to wait pretty much just a few sort of minutes, and then I was pretty much straight up to go and hand in my visa. I went up with like everything sort of in the right order, and I was expecting the guy who I met to actually take everything from me at the right time and ask for a certain document and then so on, but he said he wanted like everything at the same time, so I felt a bit sort of rushed into sort of giving him everything I needed, but I felt really unprepared as well, which is a sort of non-Japanese sort of thing, and it's quite not the best way to sort of actually do it. But after handing my details over, the guy behind the counter was a Japanese man, and he checked through everything. But the information you need to hand over is basically your visa application to enter Japan form, explaining why you're going over there, intended length of stay in Japan and so on, which I put 1 year. Date of arrival, although I applied really early because my date of arrival is January next year, I wanted to apply at this time because I'd heard or read on websites that most of the visas come out in September / early October. So I wanted to apply now to get the visa. As well as the visa application form for Japan, you also have to provide some other information as well, such as your schedule of stay in Japan for the year. I found this slightly confusing because people before had said they'd written about what they were going to do in Japan and they'd done all the research, but there was also another form this year which might be new, I'm not too sure, which was called the Schedule of Stay, which looks like this. The form itself it's quite hard to fill in because you have to fill in your exact date, the activity plan, your contact and accommodation. When filling in the details, I had some sort of experience beforehand because I had been to Japan twice before, but when doing this form I did find it quite confusing because there was no other information about this form, and I just wrote in that I was travelling to certain areas during the time I will be in Japan, such as going to Nagoya, experiencing a few festivals, visiting Kanto, Kanagawa and Odaiba-shi. And I also filled in a form as well which was about why I was applying for the working holiday visa, which I kept to a A4 piece of paper, because I heard that some people in the past had actually applied for the visa, but when applying they'd written too much and they had to sit there and write it again before handing it to the person who checks it on the other side. I also wrote down my proposed itinerary to go with my schedule of stay in Japan, which was again set to a A4 piece of paper because I didn't want it to go over too many pages, but I also did a larger version in case I needed it, as you can see here. I kept it to A4 as I mentioned before because the person behind the actual desk as well actually checked through everything really thoroughly. I was really surprised that he just sat there and he just checked through everything, and then the question he asked me was, why are you going to Japan so early? I mean, why are you applying to Japan so early? Which I thought was a really weird question because I wanted to apply early so that I would get the visa, because I wanted to start fresh in January so that I would experience everything in Japan from January to December, or stroke the new year. After I had handed in all my information, I handed over my passport, and then after that he stamped everything, put everything together, and then gave me a card stating when I needed to be back in London, and also what I needed to bring, which was the £23, which I brought when I came to London the following week, because the visa takes 1 week to actually get. The following week I made my way to London. I found this quite difficult at first because I had to get the time off work exactly a week after I'd come back from London. It took me about 4 hours from here in Huddersfield to get to London, but once I finally got there I went through the usual security checks at the Japan Embassy, and then was told to press the visa button in the sort of lobby area to get my ticket, and then I had to wait about 5 to 10 minutes to get my actual to actually see somebody who opened up the visa to show, well, opened up my passport to show the visa, and I was so happy to have received the visa. And then I felt so confused that I nearly forgot to pay the person behind the counter, but I paid her the £23, which is the current price for the actual visa, and then left really happy. The visa actually states the dates when you actually applied for the actual visa itself, or when the visa was sort of issued. The visa, well, the visa which I've got says 2 days before I actually got the visa in October, and it doesn't actually mean like your visa starts then. It's just the time you have to really go to Japan and actually hand over your visa, because your visa actually starts from the day you land in Japan as well, which is quite useful. So I'm looking forward to go to Japan now, and hopefully I should get into Japan, but please keep checking back for K in Japan, and for more details, or if you have any questions, please check gukaseishei.com. That's gukaseishei.com. I hope this has been really helpful to you, and good luck if you are applying for the working holiday visa. See ya!